Hey, Ron.
Welcome to the Public Works and Streets Commission, September 9th, 2025. Call to order, Mr. Bennett, Mr. Erdahl, Mr. Groth, Mr. Phipps, and myself are present.
No, Don Groth is not on. This is this Don.
Oh, that's that
He's
Don.
logged on. Right?
Okay.
You're logged in.
I'm logged on and on, yeah.
Don Groth now.
Okay, and Don Groth.
Thank you.
Meeting summary. Any citizen concerns?
And Jim.
And Jim is present as well. Excellent. Alex being the only one not here.
So here.
Should be.
All right.
Meeting summary, it's in the packet. Any corrections? Seeing, hearing none?
No.
Fire department report, none. I'm going to reapproach Frankie again about having a presence at their meetings. They asked us sometime back to not attend their board meetings. And I will ask if there's anything that we need to be communicating again. Emergency Preparedness Committee met yesterday due to the holiday. Tomorrow we are cleaning the Crestline Connex, getting rid of cardboard and some boxes and reorganizing. On the 16th of this month, there's a 3-hour sheltering class put on by Red Cross. We are the host, and supposedly they are inviting a number of communities up and down the coast to join us. But we haven't heard anything, as far as I know, in terms of who is or isn't coming.
Yeah.
On the 9th of October, Emergency Preparedness and Red Cross out of Walport and Seal Rock are doing a simulation, an event simulation. We're still.
Let me just ask a quick
Go
question.
ahead.
Is that primarily targeted at the tsunami or is it also looking at fire?
It's not targeted at either one of those, actually. The simulation will be something totally different this time. I did not want to repeat. Same, we want a different kind of activity. Different impact to the community.
Would fire be considered an emergency for the town if there
It
was
can
a
be,
fire in the
certainly.
area?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If there is a fire in the community, it will impact almost the entire community because they're going to be shutting it down 101 and so the fire trucks can get around. Cemetery Connex, we're still working on that. Cemetery has not negotiated enough yet with somebody to remove the existing Connex. They're still working at it. And Dave, could you and I meet at up there one of these days and talk about what prep would have to be done? Sure. And then maybe we can get an estimate and have a dollar idea. I've had a call into Doug's Electric, but haven't gotten any responses. So I'll keep working at them to try to get a quote for temporary power up there. And emergency preparedness yesterday determined that we would do an emergency preparedness fair next September. And it'll be the 12th or the 19th. In relation to that, Newport has one towards the end of this month, 23rd or 26th. I don't remember when. And the state has one in October. Oregon Emergency Management is putting on a large fair. I'll get that out so that we know.
And next September is 2026.
2026 will be when we do ours. Yes.
Time flies.
Well, we're trying to get ahead of the game a little bit and identifying. People have gone to the one in Walport. I don't think anyone went to the one in Lincoln City, or it's yet to come. I can't remember. I'll try to get to the one in Newport this month, and a couple of the committee are planning on going to Salem to see that one. The one in Salem is actually focusing on 2-week, what's it called? 2-week survival. It's actually post-actual event for the next 2 weeks and what you should have, what you should do, how you take care of yourself during that period. And I think that's a little different approach, and probably our fair next year in September will focus on that instead of the event itself and being prepared for it. But what do you do for 2 weeks? I think that's all for emergency prep.
Do you need
Yes.
help tomorrow with the boxes, or is there enough people? It's a small area, so you don't have too many probably.
There are 3 of us, I think, so far. If you want to, you're welcome. We're going to meet here at 10 o'clock,
And then go up,
City Hall at 10 o'clock, and then go
Okay.
up together.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll try and make.
Okay, great. Let me know and I'll pick you up on the way. Dave, Public Works report.
Good afternoon. I'll make this short and sweet. Only everyone would see that. I would like to just share a little bit, the rain amount for the month of August, 1.19 inches of rain. One of the highest in the last 15 years, 16 years. I think it was second or so. That was really good. It's just too bad it all happened just in 2 days, 3 days. Never thought that would be an issue. I do want to come down just a few lines on the Public Works and Streets report that I'm sure you're all looking at. It says 92% on that efficiency, water efficiency. So that was I think the result of all those leaks were fixed in the August and June and July. It was 3 months. So
Yeah,
it came up. I will remind you that the previous month was 86%. So the crew did a wonderful job on bringing things in line. And we're still working on other issues out there. We're good.
it's great.
I'll just run down the streets real quick. We replaced the sign at the corner of Ocean View and Marine, expending money on that new takeover. And we're trying a new sign. We're using metal posts. Of course, that's what was there, a 2-inch 2x2 metal post. So I'm more of a pressure treated wood guy, but we'll see what happens. We can't blame the county anymore and call them to come fix it. We may see a 6x6. Distribution, the guys did lots and lots of leak repairs, and when I say leak repairs, it's they're learning, they're getting things figured out, seeing what works, what doesn't. From the newest guy to the oldest guy, from our code enforcement, he's the newest, he's the freshest with the experience, let's call it that. All the way to our distribution 4 guy, they're all learning. And it's just really good to see them improve in what they do. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Wastewater, we replaced some motors on the SBRs. We had a basin taken down. One motor was bad, and we got that sent back and got that taken care of. So we're prepping now at the wastewater plant facility there to handle all the rain coming. And then we move into the collection system. You'll see our truck out there starting tomorrow again. We'll be cleaning and sewer inspecting a whole bunch of sewer mains, and mostly in the 3rd Street area. and Second Street, areas that we're gonna be doing projects, that we have engineering plans going on and kind of waiting on that to get things cleaned up. With that being said, I'm gonna move into one of the other expenses, large expenses for the month of August. Lots of maintenance on our vehicles. We just replaced one of the water tanks on the back truck. That got taken care of. We got some other stuff done. We just have mechanics here today. They're working on the 10-yard truck, fixing that, and the other dump truck. It's not the crew's fault or anything. It's just aging of the equipment. That's all. So when the check engine light comes on,
You did.
we have. That's right.
Probably too late.
They're there for a reason. Exactly. But I will tell you that our back truck has this wonderful ability to tell us that it says engine protect. When that light comes on, you can guarantee it's gonna shut itself off. That's a very good system on it. But we got that here and the guys are working on it and everything's going good.
Do we have garages for our fleet or they just?
Semi was a garage. We have a whole building with a big open front. At some point, maybe we close the front of that and put a concrete floor or asphalt floor in there, and that'll help.
Yeah,
Everything else is in the shop, so it's very prized footage inside there. Also, we did a bunch of brush cutting and clearing at the 949 site. There, Neil's getting ready to have a light put in. The poles, we're gonna have a box delivered there pretty soon. And we'll be cleaning out all the debris upstairs or up in the shacks and in the middle shack as well. And get tanks prepped so we can get moving forward on that site. As you may have seen on Facebook and other places, the skate park fence got repaired and painted, so that looks really good. Justice and David Fortmeyer did a great job on that, so did Travis Tibbetts. Gotta give credit to everyone that touched it. And so, and last but not least, considering this public works stuff, our rented fence got returned. So that we were rented, I think we rented for 18 months.
Long time.
The Commons High, so we finally got that returned. Before we returned it, it was being used to close the front gate while that was being installed. So just a little bit of stuff for what's coming up this week. Crosswalk flashers are being installed tomorrow
All right.
by Doug's Electric.
Maybe I'll come down here and get a hold of it.
Are we replacing it with a new one or?
All but the signs, or all but the yellow signs are being replaced. All the electronics is being replaced.
Cause that's where you would have all the trouble.
That's where all the trouble was, yes.
and
And
Sorry.
we could kind of estimate that we're only gonna have maybe a 5-year life on the
Well,
electronics.
that's better than what you've been getting out of that.
Yeah, that's all we got was about 5 years, and then we've been stringing it out for the
Yeah.
other 2 or 3. So, but now we kind of have an idea.
and it seems like people are very positive about the flags. And it'd be nice.
This is the second,
Other,
third month, I think we've talked about that. How nice is that? I say.
but having them at the other crosswalks would be very nice if you guys can get.
About, moving them out from there when that's replaced and identified a few other locations that they'd be good. I just drove through Depot Bay a couple days ago and noticed that they have a mound.
Different,
Well, even if you were to do that, you need a sign up that says crosswalk. So you have someplace to put the signs.
I don't think they did. There's just, they have the strip though, like the white stripes on the highway for a crosswalk.
But yeah, wouldn't you have to have something to put the flags on?
Well, I think what they had was just posts with little buckets, flags, and you'd have to have something.
So we'd have to have ODOT to agree to put the posts on.
And it just goes on.
And that's
and on.
kind of what we've got now, right? It's bucket for the, yeah.
well, it's 6-inch water pipe.
Great.
I would like to share though, on the 4th of this month, I drove through Sisters and they are very innovative there. They're doing the same thing. Except they're using basically the same thing as we have for delineators, except they're cut down about that high. And they have their flags sticking out.
That's nice.
I don't know if they got permission for that. I didn't see crosswalk signs, but they're all scattered through that town on the highway.
People have gotten quite creative.
Interesting things downtown.
Yes.
People have gotten quite creative with the flags when
Yeah,
they cross it, you know.
that's good.
Yes.
They're winning a lot of recognition for how easy it is to get around downtown for walking people,
Mhm.
Very good,
so.
very good. Just a little bit of the CIP stuff, the paving, as you had mentioned, it was supposed to be for the 10th through the 15th. But I got called last night, that he asked, hey, you know, our crew's gonna be done early, can we jump over to 9th Street? And so on, I said, that's up to you guys, so I did have Justice go up and tell all his neighbors
Okay,
up there that they would be starting early, starting today, so if, hopefully they're just cutting, not
okay,
anything, but they'll be stripping it out, so at one point, that street will be closed completely when they're paved. But they'll open it back up. at that point. And then the crew's been out this week putting up those tsunami lines. on the street. So the East Second got some, I think Lincoln Street got one, and I think they may be trying to get Loma. And we're also gonna put one on Crestview as well. Down there, and then that will, when 9th Street is finished, then that will get one, and that will give all this paved streets, except for Spruce, we're not gonna do Spruce, that's gonna be on the paving list for next year. So I'll put some blue paint across the street for that.
Good.
So yeah, that's kind of the, what's going on for. In a nutshell.
Let me ask you, I saw Ocean View delineator replacement here. Has that been decided on what we're gonna do?
Well, we were just putting up the ones that we had that were loose, we just stuck those up.
Okay.
And Bobby, did you want to talk about?
Sure.
those?
Yes, it was voted on by city council in their August meeting that they're going to put a series of delineators back on the Ocean View Road, and it'll be the same that's used down on Highway 101. It'll be the same type of delineator, and they're going to be placed about 20 feet apart, so there'll be a little bit more distance in between each delineator. There's a couple more problematic areas where people tend to park, so we might put a few more in that area to block parking along the road there. And then there'll be some painted symbols with like a person walking a dog and a bicycling and, you know, things like that along the walking path.
Nice. Sounds good.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good option.
Good to see how
Mhm.
people react.
Mhm. Mhm. A lot of options were discussed.
Yes, to say the least.
A lot of public comment was heard.
Glad we stayed out of it.
You didn't really. Anything else, Dave? Any questions? Yep.
How do you find a water leak? I mean, are you looking for something bubbling up on the ground, or do you?
The public letting us know they see water boiling.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's really the only way?
No. People will say that they're lost water pressure, or
Uh,
will notice that there's a reservoir has dropped or something, an alarm will sound for that,
okay.
things like that.
Your bill doubles or triples?
What?
Your bill doubles or triples?
Yeah, yeah.
That's the property owner's. How'd it go?
Anything else? Don?
Jim, was that you?
Jim?
On the compost.
Right now, I guess.
He's having a personal conversation, sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it. Rick, your turn.
Hello. Yeah, waiting for our contractor to drop by, so that's why I'm here. East Second Street, um, project starts on Monday. And they're gonna start with, I think the sewer laterals, because those are deeper than the water line that they're gonna replace. And, their projected, finish date is October 31st. So that gives them exactly like 45 days, and that's what the contract says for substantial completion. So hopefully the weather and everything cooperates so they can move right along. And let's see. Reedy Creek is still being engineered, and I kind of put that off to the side for a little while, maybe do it next budget year. I'm not in a big rush it's not a hurry up and do type situation, but the line definitely needs replaced. And let's see, the million-gallon reservoir, you got that under new business, but I've been putting a little time into that. Do you want me to talk about that now or wait?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Now, this is my own opinion after talking with engineers and geotech. I've yet to receive a report. I should be getting that any day now. And the engineer is going to come to our next council meeting and talk and provide all the information. But to me, the site's not as great as I'd hoped. It does have rock, and I've said many times in the past, I love the rock. But when it's at a 45-degree angle and you have to bench the mountainside, it's almost all rock. You go down a few feet, like 25 feet, and it's rock, hard rock. So to bench it would be really, really expensive. So, but the engineer is supposed to try to figure out what he thinks it would cost. Talk about maybe alternative sites, or if we wanted to do it that site, he has some suggestions. But I'm keeping an open mind, and we might have to look for another piece of property. That's when you mentioned the cemetery. I bet you there's somewhere around in there 220 feet. I wonder if they would let us build a reservoir up on their upper property. But so we'll start. I don't want to look too much yet. I mean, I have, but council may want to move forward, but I'm guessing that it's going to be cost prohibitive to do that.
Are there no other options than benching?
Well, you have to bench it. You got to have a flat surface to build the tank on. So yeah, that's a lot of weight, 1.5 million gallons. You have to have a real good foundation. That he may come and say, well, you could build a smaller tank. That's a smaller bench. But we haven't talked about that as a whole, and we don't have the answers yet these are all just theories that I have. So we'll wait for the report. But in the meantime, we've been cleaning up after ourselves up there. Have a contractor come in on Monday to gather up all the brush and duff and stuff, and bench the trees down lower so a different contractor can come pick them up. But we're preparing to close it out. Last thing we'll do is put rain bars on the road. And then if we don't buy it, we've done everything in our contract agreement, leaving it nice and neat. And if we buy it, well, we got a nice, neat site. So that's that in a nutshell. Like Dave says, he got me saying that. Uh, but any questions on that?
Anybody else?
Yeah, well, that's the news.
It'd be interesting to see the report once they have that. What,
Yeah, yeah, because they're gonna give suggestions and what ifs type stuff. It
Good.
won't just be a bunch of numbers and graphs and stuff like that.
Rick, when you are preparing him for the presentation for city council, I think it would be good, I think I could foresee a question that they would want to ask is, what about multiple small tanks versus
Yeah.
one large tank?
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll tell them to prepare that.
Okay. Thank you.
in response to your comment regarding the cemetery, current cemetery board is more responsive than they have been in the past. Since they approached us about putting the Connex in, I think it would be worth asking the question of them. That's a lot of property they have.
Yeah. It is. It is, and it's good property. There's a lot, the dirt up there is pretty deep. So,
Might not be any better.
6 feet under.
yeah, they can hand dig it there, so that's not too bad. We haven't spent all of our feasibility money yet. I'm not sure where we're sitting at though, because we haven't done, we're not going to do all the, unless we decide to build there, we're not going to do like the other half of the feasibility study, and that's the distribution lines, what it would take to get there. So I know we're under, I'm pretty sure we're under 100,000 right now for sure. The geotech was like 40,000, and I'm not sure what the engineer has charged so far, but we haven't spent the whole 210 yet for sure, and we may not have to. So we'll see. So wait and see. Like we've been doing for a year.
Do you have any comments on your water?
Oh, I don't think we're in any drought problems anymore. We're running really good. While I was on vacation, the crew switched over to running both of our sources, Salmon Creek and Reedy Creek. And because flows were kind of dropping down a little bit and they wanted to stay safe. But with these last few rains, I was able to shut off Salmon Creek today and just run off Reedy Creek. And there's more rain coming in a few days, Saturday. And, that'll be, halfway through September. It would have to get really hot and dry for the rest of the year to cause a problem.
Good.
Everything going okay with the our friends to the north of us, the water
Oh.
supply there?
Yeah, they're doing okay. Just talked to them today. They're wanting to do a drawdown test. They want us to pump for a significant amount of time, like 2 or 3 hours, to see what that does to their reservoir system, what type of drawdown that is, so they can keep that scenario in mind and be able to operate around it, and be able to report to the board what the impacts are when we when we take water. And let's see, they're updating their master plan to include how much water I attended a meeting with them last month, and told them the main thing that they need to figure out is what is their build out. how many houses will go in their district in the future, to their best guess. And how much water does that leave to sell us in Walport? And so their engineers were there and they tasked the engineers to figure that out as well. And I keep thinking that they would have came up with that sooner because we want a deal, but they're doing the best they can with what they got. And it I don't think it'll take, by next summer we'll know what their new master plan says for water availability for us. So yeah, it's going real good. We got a good relationship going with them.
Good, good. Anything else or any questions for Rick?
That's all I got. Oh, I've been working with Don Phipps. He wrote a presentation for the ODOT hearing that we're going to have for the speed limit on 101, and that's September 23rd. And we'll see how that turns out, and give it a chance to see if they'll change their mind. And if not, we'll move forward and
Keep moving forward.
come up with a different angle. Well, actually, I'm really hoping we get our grant for the transportation plan.
Yeah,
And I know that once we put all of these ideas and how we visualize the future of our streets, that once it's in that plan, you don't have to do the plan. You got to have a lot of public hearings. It's not just an engineer going off by himself and writing it up. There's a lot of community involvement, and there'll be plenty of projects in there to keep us busy for like the next 20 years.
wow.
What kind of risks have we been getting back from the legislature on the transportation bill? As far as our share of the,
I have no idea.
well, I don't think anybody does at this point. I'm just
Yeah,
asking what you've been hearing.
I've been watching the updates on League of Oregon cities, and I haven't really got anything solid that I can bring back to report on that's.
So we're just watching, wait and see what the Senate does. Because I know they did pass a bill that would have allowed us to redirect some of the room tax money to,
Yeah,
that one never made it.
yeah.
So
I think they're gonna bring it back again the next session.
I hope so.
Yeah. And then they're learning more and more, and they even changed it midway through this session to get more traction, and then
Yeah.
they're gonna bring it back again next session.
So a lot of this is gonna still be hanging on what happens with that, because if that doesn't pass, I don't know whether any of these grants are gonna be forthcoming that easily.
This round is set for its funding. And what we'd be looking for after that would be construction grants, and I don't know how
Yeah.
that will be, because that will be in future years, and I don't really know how it all
Right.
unfold into
Nobody
future
knows
years,
about
but I
that.
know this year is set. And I did have a meeting yesterday with the consulting group that works with ODOT in jurisdictions on these plans, and that was a pretty promising conversation to have. So I think we're moving in the right direction.
Well, I think this is, wait and stay tuned in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
Is this tied to the ODOT funding? Because I'm hearing, everything I'm reading about ODOT is that there's some serious problems there, and they might actually experience a substantial cut in their budgets.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is that what we're talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's the bill that's currently hung up in the Senate. The House passed it, but the Senate, because of an illness of one of the senators, has put off making the decision for another week or so.
Mhm.
And that's where it sits right now.
yeah, Don, I heard a couple of maintenance shops have closed throughout the state.
Yeah,
Through
they did that already.
Yeah,
I don't think they're gonna reopen them either.
right.
At least that's what the newsletter is continuing to hint at. I get the newsletter every month.
Well, since we're talking about ODOT, the last thing I got is Don was probably going to talk about this, but the work group for the
Yeah.
speed cameras. We've come up with a list of questions, and we hope to interview the city of Newburgh whenever they plan a date with Don there. Don, if you wanted to say more about it.
Yeah, we're going to interview the city of Newburgh to find out about their, their installation process and how they selected their vendor and what led them to decide to go forward with speed enforcement cameras and what their projections are with regards to revenue and costs. We want to get all that information available so that I have that in my quiver, so to speak, to use when I go to the city council in October and make a presentation on it. So we want to get Bobby has said she wants to get a feel for how the city council feels about speed enforcement camera technology before we commit to a more large scale work group effort. So this is a kind of abbreviated effort that we're going to use to get in front of them and find out just how they feel and answer questions and, at least get the issue in front of them and see what they think. So that's what we're doing.
Don, could you touch on it possibly being the first camera system on a highway?
I'm sorry, one more time.
Could you touch on the subject that this might be the first camera on an ODOT highway?
Yes, I mean, this is a real preliminary survey of the various cities that have installed this. Most of them have gone on, I mean, the vast majority are in school zones and on troubled red light areas. And they want to be able to police those areas because of high crash potential and no one wants to see school kids harmed by vehicles. So those have been where they've been primarily going. They've also shied away from working with ODOT. And I quite frankly, I don't understand why. My experience with ODOT is that they're very responsive and willing to help. So I don't understand why there's a reticence there. But my belief is that I think they would be willing to work with the city, and we would be probably the first to have it on a state highway if we were to get this approved by them. So, but that's all way many steps ahead. First, we've got to get this report done and the work group done, then the city council approval, and then the negotiations with ODOT would begin, and who knows where that would go. They might say no. So we've got a lot of steps to take before anything would happen in terms of being able to deploy the technology. But to go back to the whole thing driving this is that there is substantial speeding going on our highways, and it poses a risk to pedestrians crossing the road. And this is what's been driving my interest in moving forward with something like this. And also from a number of people that I've spoken to, they say that there's no reason to have a posted speed limit if you're not going to enforce it. And we don't have the means to enforce it right now. We have a police officer that comes on Thursday and half day on Friday. Is that right?
20 hours a week.
20 hours a week. So yeah, so the rest of the hours, one-on-one highway pretty much is unpoliced. So we have to rely on the good intentions of people driving through our town to obey the speed limits. And unfortunately, that's not really happening. In the village center through August, 30% of vehicles exceeded the speed limit, the posted speed limit, and 3% of vehicles for the first, is that 8 months? Is that right? Through August. 3% of vehicles exceeded it by 10 or more miles an hour. Those would be ticketable offenses. And amounts to, hang on one second, I'll just pull up the data here. In fact, I could just show it, but I'll just let you know. It amounts to 36,853 vehicles violating our posted speed limit here in front of City Hall by a speed of 10 or more miles an hour. So even though the sign is flashing and telling them they're exceeding the speed limit, right on through. So it's a problem.
Hey, Don. If I could add a couple of things, I think there was a article I saw in in one of the Lincoln County papers that Newport is considering speed radar. And if you recall, in that article, he was unaware, the city manager was unaware that they could put cameras on the state highways. Is that
Right.
And then at the volunteer party in August, I met with our local constable, and I'd seen him out in in the south part of town between the bridge and the south edge of the town, doing speed, with his radar gun. And he'd been there a couple hours, and so he had just come to the party, and I asked him how many tickets and how did he ticket people? And he said, he doesn't ticket anybody unless they're going above 15 miles above the speed limit, not 10, 15. And he issued 3 tickets that day. 2 were for 20 miles above the speed limit. And the third was for somebody passing in a double yellow line. So that gives you an idea of how big the problem is if they're going to select only 15 miles greater than the speed limit as their threshold for ticketing.
Yeah, and let me just also add that ODOT, I did question ODOT on whether we could put speed enforcement cameras on 101 highway with their approval. And they said, yes, we could. And they would work with us on that. But it's going to require, in addition to the city being in favor of going forward with this, it would require also what's called a safety and operations report done by some kind of engineering group or something. So there's another hurdle that we'll have to go through to get this in. But and I do want to say something about ODOT approved vendors for these technologies. I don't think that's accurate. I also don't think that, ODOT doesn't have a master list of vendors that qualify for these kinds of installations. They're open to using, from what I can tell, there's quite a number of different kinds of vendors that are putting these in the cities. And then on top of that, there's a belief that they're quite expensive. But in my discussion with the technology people that do this, the average camera price is about $30,000. So it's not $500,000 or some outrageous amount. So just keep that in mind as we're going forward. And I'll be making more statements to this when I get in front of the council.
It reminds me of about 20 years ago when we had some people that were selling bumper stickers that says Yachats pace car. And that was actually pretty effective at the time when they did that. So, yeah, so we'll take a solution to
Interesting.
maybe consider.
Thanks, Don. We've lost Rick. Anything else, Rick?
No,
Still-
that does it.
Okay, thank you. Finance, Don, we've already talked about the July finances. We have not talked about August because they have not been posted. Is that correct?
That's true, although I don't remember talking too much about July. I think as a pre to that, I would like to point out that the overall revenue for July was $171,500, whereas last year's it was 176.8. So there was a
Or actually
drop,
down?
and I was expecting an increase between the two periods, but so we're still kind of up in the air on what has been in place and how the system is working on that.
Becca, do you want to kind of review what we have put in place and what we know about what has happened with that?
Right. I didn't grab the yearly report,
That's
but
okay.
I can run that and send it to you as well. But I basically just put together, I don't know. I don't know if it's read it or not, I can forget. Sorry. Basically comparison from last year to this year. And the total increase we got is $10,441.90. Then since May. Some accounts have dropped, but it also just really depends on their usage and how busy it is during the summer for where they're at, but. I put together the bill amounts for since May of 2024. And then May 2025 to August. Where we're at now, but I can keep tracking it that way. And then I also have a report that shows you everything money wise from just utilities.
Okay,
And that would show me a year.
sure. So our impact on the large users is fairly new. We haven't,
Since May.
we're just barely getting started with the large users. And we really didn't know what it was going to do. And what we're not sure really in terms of how to evaluate it is what's really happened with visitors.
Right.
I think we were expecting there to be a bigger jump, but did we have fewer or more visitors or the same? Well, that's what we really don't know. And I suppose the only way we can really find out is to approach the large users and see what their occupancy was.
I'm sure they track.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
So
We can also use the food and beverage tax as a gauge, side by side.
And the lodging tax also is a good gauge to show where we're at in our collection each year, but that isn't necessarily always relating to the occupancy.
That's right.
It depends on the amount that's charged, maybe they're charging more, maybe they're charging less,
Yeah.
So
And how
that
many-
is usually our gauge of how tourism in general.
And how many people are not staying,
Mhm.
coming and going instead of staying as often, as long. That's what. Yeah. Okay.
I think the other thing we talked about is unless we can get some idea on the rest of the customers and if there's a way to peek at vacation rental differences in addition to the large users, that we may need to figure out how to develop the numbers for those two groups, or at least make sure that the system is creating the same amounts that we're seeing between the 2 years on year-to-date basis or monthly basis. And then we can subtract out the large users and I'm not sure how we identify the vacation rental activity.
Is there a way to do that? Do we know? Or simply, I mean, we don't want to get carried away, but
They have a service rate that's specific to vacation rental users.
it could be pulled out and we know what has changed there.
So let me just make sure I understand this. The changes that we made are actually producing less revenue? Is that what I'm hearing? Or is it, because the intention was to produce more revenue, right? So I'm just,
So no, they're base, so the changes we made are strictly like their base rate. So they're paying more in that sense, but then they can not use as much. It's all really kind of on usage. So depending on how many units they use is gonna generate that bill. But all the changes, for instance, vacation rentals. We did the 25% increase on that on January 1st. So our base rate for that is 143.41, but then they can be sitting there not using any water, but they're still having to pay that because they had a vacation rental.
Right.
So I think it's some of these, maybe just had over summer or they didn't use as much water. But all the base rates we've implemented are higher.
okay. So overall, would we say that we've been successful in generating more revenue or?
We should have, yeah.
They said,
Yeah.
they would tell me to, I run that part of it can show me the whole year.
All right.
If that's sense.
Yeah, this just isolates the big users and it's only started in May anyway, so it's pretty young.
Yeah, vacation rental. That's no problem.
Mark back where it would give the report of where it had been after 6 months of what the implementation that had been put in place, and that was without the one that she's showing now. And that was all up exactly how we were hoping it before.
Yeah,
And now this is the add-on of
The May.
of that.
Okay.
and it's just a check of where we're going with it.
Yeah, your report shows a 10K increase,
Yeah,
which is reasonable.
For 4 months.
Yeah,
Sure.
it is.
sure.
So are we then satisfied with what's happening or are we hoping for more or where are we at then? What are you guys thinking? Does anybody?
Actually, it's where we were thinking.
To do another full report of all of the implementations together, like she, well, like I did the first round, minus this one, and just to see where everything's been when we started the implementation, so now it'd be about 8 months for some of those implementations. And that will give us a good picture of everything altogether before I can say if we need to do more or not. But I think it's pretty on track.
Would it not be better to wait till maybe January to do that? So you get a full year and see what the impact really is.
We need to let time
Yeah,
run the thing through and see how it works.
yeah,
We can't really just judge it based on a few months. Because we need to go through the full high use cycle, low use cycle of the water, so forth, and see how the whole works out.
Yeah, that is the.
It would really be interesting though to look at whether we're getting a change out of the vacation rental.
yeah.
Well, I know it weed out a lot, Lorraine. Some more licenses, and I do see that there's a lot being rented.
Well, we've got
Yeah.
a cap on the licenses, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and we had a significant amount of license holders that just were holding licenses because they didn't want them to be used for vacation rentals. And when the rate increased for them, having a commercial rate, but they weren't actually bringing in money or utilizing it as a commercial business, they did turn in their licenses, and they have been obtained by people who are using them. So we are generating more in our vacation rental license or excuse me, our transient lodging tax through vacation rental licenses directly. Because we have them separated out, how much we're bringing in from vacation rentals, how much we're bringing in from hotels, how much we're bringing in from food and beverage. And you can see how much has risen in our increase from the vacation rental licenses, and that's because the people who have them are actually using them as a business now, which has been, so it's been a twofold benefit for the city.
That's a really good benefit that's coming out of that is saying, well, you're gonna get the license, you're gonna need to use it in order to justify the
right.
cost. This is good news.
It's really good news, and you know, we have been back and forth with how we were going to update our vacation rental license code to write in a stipulation of how that you have to use your license, you have to rent it or report, or you know, when we weren't really coming up with the solid answer of how what stipulation we were going to put in there to make them use their license or they were going to use it, but this
Yeah.
in turn.
Start
made
charging
them-
them for the
yeah.
water that they're not using.
Yeah, so we didn't even have to
Yeah.
actually write anything in the code about you have to use it or you
This
lose it.
really is good news.
Mhm. Multi-purpose benefit.
Yes. Thank you, Becca. Appreciate it. Don, did you have anything else?
No, I do think it, since the July through September, that when we get the numbers through September 30th, we might take an additional look and see how we are at that end of the first quarter compared to last quarter, and then see if the rest of the increases kind of show up better after a quarter.
Okay. I did find it. New business. We've kind of talked about oh, by the way, the agenda is not correct. It's an old agenda. And between Kimmy and I, we didn't get it taken care of for today, so. What it is what I'm going over instead. Here, hold that. Commissioners' projects. Mr. Erdahl, have you done anything on streets yet?
I am going to wait until they tar the roads the second time here, so then I know that when I'm looking at the street that it's not already on the list.
Already, okay, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
When do we expect the tarring to occur?
It's,
I think this week or next week, right? The tarring?
It's not supposed to be any. It's supposed to be cutting.
terminology,
Oh.
paving,
No tarring?
no,
It's gonna be tarring.
paving.
Paving. Oh.
Tar paving, yeah. I'm feeling like I need to go up and take a look.
What about tar and feathering?
Paving should be starting tomorrow,
Okay.
but they're cutting today.
Terminology.
Yes, I need to get it right.
Streetlights, Jim.
Hey, Bobby and I met and we worked together on a plan for this project. There's two things I'm gonna be working on. One, I'm gonna do a sort of a ad hoc audit of these lights to see if we want to do a real audit, to really see what we're being charged for and whether whether it's worth our time to save some money and clean up essentially their records. So they provided me with all their GIS lights, and it shouldn't be hard because 3/4 of them are all along the 101 highway. And the second thing is I'm going to be pursuing with them what options they have available for more efficient lights, both from an energy point of view, as well as from a dark sky point of view, where there's, so those are sort of the options. And along the way, there's a parallel project, which is with the boardwalk. And they're going to be needing lights, both street lights, they believe, as well as walk lights. And those will be able to, they will, of course, it'd be necessary for them to meet the code, the dark sky code. So that's a little bit of a side project that I'll be helping with. And the one thing I could use is I was talking to Greg Scott, who I think all of you know had been a councilman for the time at the lighting code was put in. And he said that I should get a copy of the original code, because if you go on our website, the lighting code supporting documents aren't in the same location as the code in the main body of the code. So it would help me then if I could get a complete copy of the original code that was approved 5 years ago. If that's, I would appreciate that, Bobby.
Would that be in city council minutes?
Yeah, it should be in our document center.
Or according to
Yeah.
Greg,
Here, we'll find one.
Are they not in the document center, Jim?
I think Greg's referring to his document center is where he believes the documents are.
Ah,
So there is a difference. So I would have to pull that.
okay.
they're separate, the supporting documents are in separate places from the actual base code according to Greg.
Because he was working on those documents back some time ago. When
Been
his
very,
system-
and
his
you may
system
remember,
was,
and you,
So whatever was approved is on our.
Is on ours,
In our
correct.
code, and that is what our approved code is.
Yes,
But he's looking for the original one before the changes were made.
Prior to the changes.
But if there's no, but whatever
Exactly.
changes are made,
Are valid.
it's made, and that's whatever is on our site
That's
is
it.
our code. And whatever was done before might not have made it the final cut. Whatever made the final cut is on our website, in our code, under the lighting.
why do you need the previous documents?
well, you can't understand the code of, if you don't have the supporting documents. This is according to Greg. Says that it would be valuable for, if I'm going to be looking at the dark sky code, to have all the supporting documents.
Like from the meeting that they discussed that code, like as the meeting materials for the discussion.
Supporting documents would be things I would imagine that explain different aspects of the code. But this is something that I learned from Greg, and he said the best way to get all these documents would be to go back to the original approved document,
Which is back in his system.
part of the system, which
Sure
is,
that that's exactly the documentation he's talking about. I mean, if it's back-end documentation, because that's how they arrived at it, that wouldn't necessarily
Yeah.
be.
Just be in discussions.
And in the minutes, is where it would be.
yeah, I'm sorry to throw the curveball, but I just got into a conversation with Greg, and he says you need to have to really fully understand the code. You need the supporting documents, and he was involved in that process. So it's
so
not the
if-
biggest deal, but I just thought I would bring it up.
So if it's in the minutes, the end of council meetings, it's just a matter of going back and finding when that started and start going through the minutes, which you should be able to do because they're online. You would just need kind of a date of when that discussion began.
And we should have an ordinance that reflects
It
that.
should start
Would be helping our
anything before that.
Would indicate the timeline of any time, of each time it was changed, it would say it at the bottom.
show it.
In our code, yeah. Even if you go into the code online and put in dark sky, anything that comes up, or lighting that comes up, then you could just start looking there when you start reading the first paragraph, it'll have on there each time that it's been amended or changed or otherwise, so it's easy to see. If that makes sense.
Thank you, Kimmy. I'll be happy to kind of maybe ping you and walk through it if you get some help from you, if that's okay.
Yep, as long as it goes through Bobby first, I'm I'm directed. Yeah, it's pretty simple to find if it's on there and if there's been any changes. Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
Thank you.
note.
Properties with septic tanks is mine. I am partly through my draft of a letter to property owners, and I will pass it on to Rick and Bobby prior to doing anything with it, certainly. And I am researching property owners through the county so that I could educate them a little bit in terms of what they should be doing with septic tanks. As we've discussed before, there's a good chance most of them are not having them manually inspected. They're not having things done that they're supposed to be doing. And my intent at this point is to help educate them while we try to figure out how we could ever get septic, sanitary service to them or within a reasonable distance that they would be required to hook up. So, Bobby, do you have anything that you would like to comment on today? Short meeting. Yes.
During our finance meeting, the group had a discussion about a local improvement district as an option, instead of maybe, or in addition to the street fee that's been discussed. The local improvement district would be able to benefit certain areas, certain projects. It would be those benefiting properties that would pay into it. And we're just kind of starting the research on all of that right now. There has been one done in the city for the Blackstone development. And we do have a code that's written on how to do them. You're probably, I see you shaking your head over there. You probably were part of that process.
No, but I'm very familiar with what it is.
And there's a really identified area that would benefit from the street work as well as having sewer lines connected. So it kind of relates to both your projects here. So maybe we could all get together and with Dave and Rick and discuss maybe what the next steps are and what to put forward for more information to continue this along. It could be a better way of funding these really significant and necessary projects versus having a $10 street fee for every user. It could generate, we could identify what the total cost is and if there's a city portion that covers part of it or if it's all property owners. So just kind of looking at other ideas and starting that conversation.
I understood before, one of the issues is that there's some laterals that are involved in fixing this, so it's not necessarily apparently always on the owner of the property.
Yeah, so just starting those discussions, looking forward to seeing where they lead us. And then another off topic of this conversation really, but the city and the chamber did send out emails today about the 4th of July fireworks. If anybody likes to submit their thoughts, either pro or con or against, alternate ideas, whatever floats your boat, we want to hear about it, and we'll see what the answers we get back are. I think that there's a lot both ways, so we'll see what we land on. But I think it's important to be able to have people voice their opinions, and it might show that there's just a handful of people who really don't like it, or there's a lot of people who really don't like it, or there's a lot of people who love it, and so I think that it's going to be a telling survey to help guide the direction that the city should go.
How do people access the survey, Bobby?
It was sent out via the city newsletter this morning, and there's a link to it. It was also sent out via the chamber's newsletter this morning.
Okay,
So if you receive either of those, it will be in your email box.
I got an email this morning.
I got an
I
email.
did too.
I filled it out already.
Yep.
Alright, thank you.
Yep.
We'll also make sure it's put on our city website, and we will also probably post it on Facebook pages too.
another question, how is Boardwalk coming along?
Good.
Are we about ready to break ground or what's going on?
Waiting for answers on if we receive the grant or not. There's a meeting next week for the state parks, and I actually just brought it up. Where I was looking at their agenda to see what they have posted on their agenda. So I'm gonna do some reading and see if they have any telling information on their agenda of what happens.
Inquiring minds want to know.
I think we're moving in a good direction.
Good, good.
Is there anything else from any of the commissioners? Any questions, Bob?
Dave, can you give me a call? We can talk about the what you want to do on the I&I stuff.
Yes.
Now that I'm not so tethered as I was before, so.
Anybody else? Questions, comments? If not, we're adjourned.